Now, I've bought most sets, I've bought plenty of singles, and I have a good collection. I just don't really have the skills. So, we're going to take what I know, we're going to take what I have, and we're going to see how far we can get. In this new series I'm calling Getting Good at Yu-Gi-Oh! What's going on, guys, and welcome back to episode 3 of Getting Good at Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, sorry I missed a week. Things were a little hectic last week, so I apologize in advance. But this week we got some content going up. Now, for the first time of us doing the Phantom Knight deck, we just dueled my one friend who plays Dinos. So for this episode, I thought, let's take it up and see what we can do. Now, right now, I don't know of any locals near me that are doing in-person hosting or doing any kind of remote duels. So instead I thought, let's just take it to EDO Pro, see how we do. So let's head over there and just try some stuff out. Now my first duel was up against Abyss YGO playing Heroes, so let's see how that went through. So starting up, I won the die roll, so I went first. Summoning Tour Guide, chaining Kage Mucha Knight, trying to avoid the Ash since that just kills the Tour Guide play. Just did the starting Link 3 BA plays to help, the Phantom Knight deck really set up the best board it could. Lancia, me realizing that really hurts the deck, I went to Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, hoping he didn't have Nibiru, and getting the extra negate. I set my copy of Fogblade, I went into Verte Anaconda, went into Dragoon, and just passed, hoping that 3 negates was enough. He foolished out the Shadow Mist, so I negate Shadow Mist, so he can't search that, one spell card mass change, I think it is. Or is mass change off special? I don't remember. But it didn't matter. I hit that, he scooped, that was the end of it. The game ended there. So, let's go on to the next duel. Now, for this next duel, I forgot to hit record. Totally sorry about that. I forgot to hit the save record button, so we had to do it through the screen recording I did. So at least I did that, which is safe. Definitely helped. But with this round, I won the RPS, so I was able to go first. I activated Foolish, just trying to set up PK Grave plays so I could do something. And the other problem was I drew 2 BA monsters in my hand, which I'd rather not do. I milled Ancient Cloak trying to get the setup play for later, knowing I had these 2 BAs at least. They're free summons, so I never have to use my normal, and I just tried to set up from there, I bring out Libic, I bring out the other one whose name I don't remember right now, and I go into Cherubini. It's, the best starting play for this deck that still hasn't changed. Actually, after summoning Cherubini, I went to go use the effect of Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak, which he responded with Skullmeister. Now that definitely hurt because it stopped me from really going much farther. I still had plays, it wasn't over. I just had to figure out what I would do next from this point, which is where it kind of I need to get used to. I need to get used to the interruptions affecting my plays and figuring out where I could go. So this is where I sat and tried to figure it out. And I ultimately decided to go with Graph. I still had Farfa in deck. So I went into Graph using Graph's effect in order to attempt to bring out Farfa, which went through, thankfully. And linked 2 over into Verte Anaconda. Really not much else I could do. I thought about going into Rusty, but with what I had in Grave and what I could do left, it wasn't much. So I was kind of hoping Dragoon plus Ash would be enough to seal the game. This was a mistake on my end. Also, putting Dragoon and Verte in the same row. It wasn't a game-changing mistake, but me not knowing what I'm going up against and Mech Knights existing, it was definitely a mistake on my end. So, he starts with Terraforming. A bait card in some ways, in other ways not. I thought it was safe not knowing what else was in his hand. He went with Desires. I immediately also negated that. Now, again, that could have been double negate. I had no idea, but I thought 3 cards in hand. Some decks can absolutely work off of that. I wasn't sure if this deck could. And then he summoned his monster, and I knew I was up against Prank Kids. Now, Prank Kids I have some experience with. Back in college, when in-person classes were a thing, one of my friends that I hang around in my duel room plays Prank Kids. Now he's playing Prank Kids, Thunder Dragon Invoked, and I know how to play that deck. I know how to play that deck with my Zombie World deck. I don't know how to play what current Prank Kids are with my Phantom Knight deck. So, I didn't have much of a board presence, but I had a 4K Dragoon, and to me, I thought that was going to be enough. I really didn't know what else could be, I guess, a problem in the long run. Not knowing what else they could go into, I thought with a 4K Dragoon, if they have anything that has high attack points, they're going to have to waste it early just to get rid of the Dragoon, which won't leave much attack power. Again, I haven't played this deck in a minute, so I didn't really remember the full extent of what it could do. Because I've been so on and off with Yu-Gi-Oh!, there's some decks that I do not remember the plays of. I do not remember when to stop Prank Kids. I used to, just not anymore. Also, Prank Kids now is very different than when I used to play when I was sitting around in college a year ago. So, it really does change, but he's doing his Prank Kids plays. I know what all the links do. They all bring back the others from grave, or add to hand. The fusions bring back from grave, I believe, and the links add to hand. I forget the exact things, but it's a very recursive deck that has a lot of extenders and a lot of long plays. And he had the field spell in his hand all along, which I ashed the Terraforming for, which to me means 100% a bait, and I should have saved the ash. But you never know. I mean, he activates that. For all I know, he's playing Invoked, and ashing that sometimes is just the end, because if Invoked bricks, they lose immediately. There's really no coming back. But I did what I could. This game is weird. The Prank Kids board I don't know too much on, as I said before, but let's just jump forward to... Actually, there's no jumping forward. We're kind of running out of the issue that happened in this game, which this game had a bizarre ending, and it's kind of my fault. I should have extended the time limits. If you take a look at the time slot on EDO Pro, he's running out of time. And that causes a problem when certain combo decks, such as Prank Kids, have a lot, and I mean a lot, of extenders and a lot of plays and just so much to do. It's kind of crazy. So, he activates Rocket Ride, which brings back 2 from grave. He brings back Doodle Doo, and he brings back one of the other Prank Kids monsters who's irrelevant really in the long run. But he brings those back. Me not thinking of access code, he goes into access code with... It's going to have, when it hits board, I remember this part, it's going to have 4,300 attack points, which is enough to beat over Dragoon. But here came the problem. He summoned access code, and before he could go into battle, he ran out of time. And that made him lose. With this board state, he definitely did not have game. And unless that was a Lancia in hand, I had plenty of options to come back from and win. I just really don't know where that would have went. That's the problem. So, let's just hop on over to Game 2 and see how that went. Now, for Game 2, I actually remembered to hit the save record button. So, sorry for the first one being a little longer. I just forgot to hit save record. So, because of the ending of that first one, he chose to go first this time around. And let's just see how that went through. Now, he did not have any, cards to start, so he just immediately went to his Prank Kids Palace. I had 2 Nibiru's in hand. I was pretty confident. I mean, looking back, I could see his hand now was double Ash and Forbidden Droplets, which is definitely a card I'm not too crazy about dealing with. So, he just did the setup. And as soon as he brought that out, I Nibiru'd, hoping that would just end the turn. I kind of forget how recursive this deck could be. I used to play a lot in college with my group, which hopefully I can come back to in-person classes soon so I can go duel them again. Kind of miss all that. But knowing I can't do much and my hand was a bit of a brick, I just tried to go straight into Dragoon, hoping I can do my double pop and win for game. He dropleted it, so I couldn't do that. So starting his turn, he does his Prank Kids plays. I don't know Prank Kids plays that well. I don't know how far they go or how deep they go, but he starts setting up, and I have a second Nibiru in hand because I drew 2, which was great. Definitely very helpful. Definitely stopped him from really going off, and I think it's the reason this duel ended the way it did. He just ended up setting 1 after realizing he couldn't do much else, and passed. So I, started my Phantom Knight plays. Went into Break Sword, summoned Stained from hand, detached Farfa, targeting his back row, using Farfa to banish the token because it was too high for me to get over. And the biggest problem I had here was trying to go for game. Now, don't get me wrong, Arc Rebellion's a killer of a card, but if my opponent doesn't have any attack position monsters, it doesn't do anything. So I had nothing to go for. So I'm just trying to go through as much as I can to just at least try to beat over his board. He has 1 card in hand. I had a feeling that on his follow-up he wouldn't be able to do much. So I just kept going. Then he summoned a Link monster, and I went into the best guy I could, Break Sword. So he linked it off before I could pop it, and he summoned another Link monster with 3,000 attack points. I think he realized what I was going to do and just immediately scooped, and that was the end of the game. Would there have been a Game 3 really deciding that game? I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. Game 1 kind of ended because of a mistake on my end, which was forgetting to increase the timer size for the turns. I really should have, and I forgot that was a feature in EDO Pro, and it's the reason he lost Game 1. Would he have still lost if he didn't run out of time? I don't know. I don't think he had game on board. I could have had a backup plan with where that ended, but we'll see. Let's go check out the next game, though, at least. So for the next game, I don't know if you can tell, it's 2 turns. It was against Dogmatika, Eldritch, Dogmatika, Eldritch, Zodiac. And I couldn't do much. I mean, he set 3, summoned not Broad Bull, the Zodiac that pops. I just tried to do the best I could, so my hand wasn't great. I summoned Dante, used Dante effect to mill 3, brought back my monster. He Ice Dragon prisoned, so I summoned Ash, trying to just go into Verte. Not going into Verte. I should have just went into Verte. I mean, that was definitely a mistake on my end. But after he popped that card, there was nothing more I could do, so I scooped going into Game 2, hoping I had enough. So Game 2, let's go check that out right now. Game 2, my hand wasn't great either. I bricked back-to-back against this deck. I summoned Tour Guide, he Ashed, I didn't have any protection, so all I could do was set the Fogblade Pass. Here's where things went weird. I think I forgot to turn on Auto Chain, unless I'm remembering something wrong, because at no point was I able to Fogblade the Zodiac monster to stop him from attacking, so I don't know where I went wrong. And if I was able to Fogblade, I could have stopped the attack and made it so that he didn't, ultimately summon AA Zeus. There wasn't much I could do. He didn't even summon Zeus, but all I could do was, Tour Guide to hope I can try to combo off, but he negates and I lost. That was the end of it. I'll go over more in that, the review of it. I was not happy with that game. It kind of did definitely dissuade me a bit, but it's something I need to work on. That deck was way too much for me right now, and I was not able to do it correctly. But we'll try again. We're not done yet. Oh, hey, we're back. So, let us go over that review. So, the hero deck they immediately quit, didn't even go into game 2 or 3, it just ended before I could even go off or do anything, just because, I guess, frustration. It's really the only reason I can think of. So for the second one against Prank Kids, that was a weird one. The problem was he ran out of time on EDO Pro. Now, is that my fault? Yes, because I didn't increase the time limit for that. I could have, and I just didn't think about it at the time. Game 2, I did win. There would have possibly been a Game 3. The problem is with Game 1, with the board state that was up, it's kind of hard to tell what could have been done better or how that really would have ended. I don't think he had game that turn. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just remembering it wrong, but I think we did the best. And then, we dueled Eldritch, Zodiac, Nadir's Servant deck. That one I was about expected. I lost immediately. Both games. The guy did ask for a rematch, and I just didn't want to at the time because I didn't feel I was ready to deal with it again. So, I gotta figure out what to do. So here's the thing. I don't know if you guys watch any other Yu-Gi tubers, but one of my personal favorites is MBT Yu-Gi-Oh! MBT Yu-Gi-Oh! Hosts his monthly Chalice Slime tournaments, which he just did one, and the second place deck was Phantom Knights, which is great. I mean, I'm happy to see it. I hope you guys were, if you're a Phantom Knight fan like me. And I'm thinking of maybe trying that build. The only thing I'm missing for real cards in person would be the Triple Tactic Talents and Forbidden Droplets. Now, there are cards I can sub them with. I just have to figure out what to do. Do you think for next week's episode I should change up to my next plan, which is next week I want to try the start of Cyber Dragon? Or should I do the changes and then try that? Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to ask my friends for advice just in case, I'm not getting that many views yet. So, we'll see. But I'm going to ask around, see what people think. I'm definitely open to try that deck that won. It's a little different than mine. The extra deck is very different. And it doesn't... I feel like mine has a little bit more comeback, but it also has a lot more in it. So, we'll get back. And until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. I'm sorry for the late one. I hope you enjoyed the bonus episode. And if you haven't watched the bonus episode yet, go back and check it out. Me and my friend bought some sealed boxes of Blazing Vortex. Opened it up and had a duel with them. It was a lot of fun. Both of our pulls from that set were crazy. But aside from that, the other thing that's been really getting my attention lately is the Digimon card game. I don't know if you guys have seen anything or heard anything about it, but I have some friends who are really into Digimon. I'm really into Digimon, and I really wanted to try it out. So if you guys are interested in any kind of Digimon content, let me know. None of us really have any super expensive stuff. I mean, I'm playing a Myotismon deck because he's Myotismon. It's one of my favorite Digimon. I don't have the Devimon right now in the deck, but I do have the good substitute of Lady Devimon. If you guys want to check that out, let me know. I mean, I know this is Nightmare YGO, but I'm open to do other card game stuff too. And if you guys just want to see my Digimon cards, let me know. I don't have a lot, but I have my Otismon, and he's the best. Alright guys, until next time, this has been me, Nightmare YGO. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys are looking forward to more. I promise not to miss next week. And we will see what we're going to do with it. It'll be a surprise. Have fun.